This is an update on the investigation into the murder of the 4 Idaho students brutally stabbed to death on November 13th. Moscow, Idaho, a town of 25,000 near the Washington state border, has been in shock since the bodies of Ethan Chapin, age 20, Kaylee Goncalves, age 21, Zaina Kernodle, age 20, and Madison Mogan, age 21, were found by police on November 13th at their off-campus house. Authorities still do not know who is responsible for the killings, but they have ruled out a number of suspects. These suspects include Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, who several of the roommates called that night, a man seen with Kaylee and Madison at a food truck several hours before the murders, and the person who drove the 2 girls home from the food truck that night. Also, the surviving 2 roommates who were sleeping on the first floor of the house that night, and the victims themselves, as there is no evidence of a murder-suicide. And finally, the friends that were called by the surviving roommates and came to the house that morning when the victims were found. So all of these people have been ruled out as suspects. Rumors continue to circulate that Kaylee had a stalker, but police have been unable to identify any such person and whether or not they had anything to do with the murders. News reporters asked if the murders were related to several other unsolved homicides that happened in Oregon and Washington state. A brutal attack in August of 2021 left Oregon resident Travis Juten dead and his wife seriously injured. Authorities say someone attacked the couple in their sleep around 3 a.m. on August 13th. The couple was attacked with a knife, just like the Idaho murders. No suspect has ever been identified. Previous to that crime, Sandra Ladd, age 71, was found dead in her home in Washougal, Washington. This is according to the Oregon Crime Stoppers. Her death was ruled a homicide after multiple stab wounds were found in her torso. This crime also remains unsolved. Police said investigators had not ruled out any idea or concept, but they were confident these cases were unrelated based on the evidence they've obtained so far. We also have a little more information on the 2 surviving roommates. Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen were spared in the deadly rampage during the early morning hours of November 13th. They had been out that night and arrived home just after 1 a.m., several hours before the crime. Bethany and Dylan lived on the first floor of the 3-story house, while the 4 murdered roommates were on floors 2 and 3. Some theorize that the killer may have entered the home on the 2nd floor and was unaware that Bethany and Dylan were on the 1st floor. This would imply that the killer had not been in the house before. Since very early in the investigation, Idaho police said that they believed this was not a random attack and at least one of the victims was an intentional target of the killer. They declined to provide more information on that and just said, quote, "You're going to have to trust us on that." But on December 1st, the police department said they are no longer sure that any of the victims were specifically targeted. That is little comfort to a town and a student population that is already on edge. Police say the investigation of the house is ending soon, and they have also combed the surrounding area without finding additional clues. They towed the victims' cars to a secure location where they could be more closely examined for any potential evidence. On the evening of November 30th, the University of Idaho hosted a vigil for the 4 murdered students and their families. Idaho State Police added extensive police presence in the community that evening. There was speculation that the police believed that the killer might actually show up at the vigil. So it appears that we aren't any closer to finding the person or persons responsible for these brutal killings. It seems hard to believe that someone could commit such a horrifying crime and then escape without a trace. Hopefully, we will soon hear that whoever is responsible for these brutal murders was captured and brought to justice. Only then will the people of Moscow, Idaho be able to sleep peacefully again.